night, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks and hosting our office hours here for today. And excited to have some new people joining the conversation. We've got Francine and Christian, who we connected with at the Cryptorado meetup last night, and they were interested in what we've got going on. And one of the things about the office hours is we're really wanting this to be very conversational, but we do have a little bit of things where we're structuring some conversation around. And if we were talking about the collaborative writing, and we'll come back to that here. Right now, wanting to fire up one of the other things here is a new opportunity for us to submit a worthwhile project. And some of the thoughts on that, and let me go ahead and open up, this is DWork, and let me click on this too to just pop this out. DWork is at dwork.xyz, and it's a task management tool. So we use DWork in conjunction with Notion for doing all the things. And I'm a big fan personally of the getting things done methodology. So funding opportunity, the Center for Purpose and Performance Prize. Let me make this a little bit bigger here for everybody. So submit a proposal that is firmly rooted in existing empirical research while also charting new trajectories in real-world application. And the reason that this is interesting to me from our perspective here with Gigs Go Green is one of the things that we want to get maniacal and fanatical and intentional about is creating feedback from our community. One of the things that we're wanting to do with Gigs Go Green is really reduce the barriers of entry for participating within this DAO ecosystem that we're building. And we had some conversations on our last working group, and let me go ahead and make a new window here real quick and bounce over to that real quick. So in our agenda database, so this is the working group notes that we took from our last working group on Wednesday. And this is, I'm going to scroll down here where we were talking about, let me actually do a search real quick. It was a quiz, because we were asking some questions. So it was work group number 7. So here it is right here, Facebook quiz. So this is something that we're thinking of doing to basically create a funnel into Gigs Go Green / Tesla Black DAO. And I don't know, have you, Francine or Christian, familiar with any of those Facebook quizzes that are pretty popular?
Yeah, not as it relates to, I don't know, maybe this platform, just a basic, what do you call it? Yeah, like a quiz or a voting, a poll kind of thing.
And that's one of the things too, like, and I see Christian, go ahead, Christian, you've got your mic open.
Oh yeah, no, I just wanted to have it on, but no, I've only used it as an end user, not I haven't used it as a tool for myself or anything that I've conducted.
Gotcha. So the thoughts is that this would be a great opportunity to, collect some worthwhile data, but then also just kind of get a pulse on, where people are at, especially surrounding going green, like, and from the perspective of a rideshare driver driving an electric vehicle. As somebody that's personally done over 12,000 trips across Uber and Lyft, I strongly hold the belief if you're doing Uber or Lyft and you're not doing it in a black on black 7-passenger Tesla, you're really doing it wrong. And that's kind of the thoughts here, is to ask some worthwhile questions and collect some data. And then the thoughts over here, I'm going to scroll down to the vision. I haven't personally done any research as far as BetterUp at betterup.com. That's who is hosting this. And I guess it's actually the Center for Purpose and Performance. So this is the thoughts on this is that the data that we could potentially garner through this Facebook quiz. And from a timeline standpoint, let me actually go show that page here real quick in Notion. This is another page that I created. Let me do it in this other window. So let me do a search here for timeline. So this is a page that I created to create a single source of truth for our projects that we're working on. So right now, this is, we're like right in between here, and this is something that I'm going to do as an action item here later today for this, at least start the conversation. But the thoughts are right now, the other date that we don't have on here is 2/2 is submit for CEIP, which is the Community Energy Innovation Prize. So the thoughts are with this one is to use again the Facebook quiz to really create. And I'm not somebody that is well versed in academic type of research, and I think that that's what I kind of garner out of a word like empirical research. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity, especially with gig workers. And I don't have the study in front of me that was that I think that was done by Colorado State University that was talking about the pay for gig workers. And that's relevant. All of us today are in Colorado, and we're gearing this project more for Colorado. And we will likely, at least initially, at least in the conversation surrounding the Facebook quiz, do target people in Colorado. We're really hoping to have this security token offering that we're planning for February be largely by people living here in Colorado. So anyway, let me share this link with everybody here in Zoom so that you can have that on your end as well. So one of the things that looking at the timeline, my computer, is the audio still working?
Yeah, it's still working.
Having technical difficulties. Bear with me, please. I switched to my phone here real quick. I think the Bluetooth went out on my computer, which is disturbing. That's never happened before, so apologies.
No worries.
And what makes it even worse is that both my keyboard and my uh, mouse are all Bluetooth, so I literally had to press the power button for on my little Mac Mini here.
Oh.
So there was a couple, I think Outgrow and Playbuzz are a couple platforms that have been on the radar for exploring for doing the Facebook quiz. But is what I'm saying, is that like a viable strategy, do you think, Christian?
Well, to be honest with you at this point, you know, from what we talked, my mind kind of works a little differently. I kind of look at projects from, I wanted to say a different perspective, but actually it's more like from different perspectives. And I'm still not, for me to tell you one of the resources you're going to use is effective or not, I kind of need to see how it aligns with the bigger portion of the project. And I'm still not quite clear on just the basics, you know, mission, vision, what we're trying to accomplish, who we're trying to reach, target customer, cost structure, just the basic stuff that you could put just on one page that you could share with everybody and just get a good general idea of where we're going. That would allow me to tell you, yes, that would work. Now, if I need to answer that in a vacuum where you would say, is Facebook a good tool to be able to gather some data relevant to this specific project that you're talking about? All I can really chime into that is, it is good in terms of understanding that you can actually customize it to really filter who you're going to be asking. Like you could really get to like Tesla owners and ask them directly certain questions. And in that sense, I think that would be very beneficial. And I don't know if that answers your question.
Um, it does, and I think that the main person that we're targeting or group are gig workers that are Uber and Lyft drivers, or people that are considering doing gig work as an Uber and Lyft driver. And if we can focus on that type of thing, and really the vision for the Facebook quiz is to just have like Facebook is unquestionably the largest social media platform on, or platforms on the planet, and the ability to micro target. And I think, and I'm not sure, like, I don't have any experience with TikTok, and that's a very different type of platform. But right now, and I like to look at things just through the lens of a funnel and getting people to the opportunity to, like, because the thoughts are with the Facebook quiz would be, one, kind of get some initial data as far as asking some questions that we could potentially use to like going back to this prize, the Center for Purpose and Performance, of some data related to the gig workers. But the real goal would be to get eyeballs in front of a webinar marketing strategy where we would convert those people into members of Tesla Black DAO. And then, like, if they weren't ready to join Tesla Black DAO, then a lower barrier of entry would be Gigs Go Green DAO. And that's something that we were talking also a little bit about, creating a user journey. And that's one of the things that we're wanting to really document what that looks like. But my computer's fired back up here. My mouse is working. Let me switch back to my computer. So bear with me 1 second. I'm going to start this back over here. And hopefully I think I saw the live stream still working. So I'll be back here momentarily. Okay, I got the screen share going, and I'm going to switch back to my.
Did I get it switched back successfully?
I'm here. Francine is here.
Mm-hmm.
And is
Okay.
the audio
Yes, I don't know.
working?
Yeah, audio's working. I needed to hear
Yeah.
this too, because I'm a little bit like, I need to start the very, very beginning and understand what you guys are doing.
Sure, no, absolutely. And that's one of the things that really working on simplifying the narrative. So Gigs Go Green is basically a movement for gig workers to take action and go green. And not really, I believe that the biggest motivator, at least through the lens of a gig worker, is that they can literally make more money and it's more profitable for a gig worker, especially driving a Tesla where you can check all the boxes to make the most money. And that's really a segue into this alternative ownership enterprise. And that's actually a good segue because I did put in some stuff in Notion, and I might have to let's see here.
When you refer to gig worker, do you mean like the gig economy where people are doing like little side gigs and hustles and multiple things, not just on the blockchain, but different stuff to earn income?
Absolutely,
you-
and specifically the niche within gig workers are Uber and Lyft drivers.
Let
So
me
that's your niche here?
Say that again, Francine.
Is that your niche here? Is Uber and Lyft drivers or everybody?
That's the main niche that we're creating the largest value proposition surrounding. So like
Okay.
and let me actually bring up a one pager here real quick too. Let me find that.
While you work on that, I'll just fill in Francine real quick on I'll try to summarize in just very, very little everything that we talked about yesterday. But Francine, I met Yonks on I was doing an interpretation gig where this was there's an initiative going on with a well-established organization that's nonprofit for affordable housing to find out a different model for some Coloradans to have access to with a much lower barrier to get to housing. And you got to rethink the whole thing. And this is actually happening within Globeville, Swansea, Elyria, and there's many other places that this is kind of a movement that is happening. But what I liked about all this is that Yonks fuses that idea with the decentralization or the decentralized structure of blockchain, or how we can create a new avenue now that we have that tool. So I find him very knowledgeable in that area. But as we talked about, he also has other projects. And where I'm at, so that you know, in between the three, is trying to really assert this whole thing. I come from the consulting world, and I've worked with many different types of entrepreneurs and businesses, and I have all these types of models and tools to try to get things from a really broad, high level, intentional, whatever, to down to the ground in a more structured, cost effect, manner, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes good sense. Thank you for elucidating me a bit. Because I'm starting from square one. I'm not, yeah, I just a lot of this is all new stuff to me, even the platforms you're using. So
And that's one of the reasons that we love doing this format, is that it really provides an educational opportunity for people to get up to speed, because like we're using different types of tools, but one tool that we're very familiar with is meetup.com. So let me actually just make this a little bit bigger here. for everybody. So this is literally the event that I created earlier today for our office hours right now. So this is how that I'm communicating the narrative. I'm going to make this even bigger here. Make this full screen. That actually made it better. There we go. Right. This is probably looking the best. So let's just break this down. What is Gigs Go Green? So really positioning, and this is literally only about the second or the third week that we've been using this hashtag. So one of the things that really architecting this is a movement, and one of the things in like architecting a movement, we want to lower the barriers of entry, and that's what we're doing with Gigs Go Green. Gigs Go Green is a movement for gig workers to take action and go green, and I'm going to keep it as simple as that for right now. And as a gig worker, and primarily again looking at Uber and Lyft drivers, because when you think about who can benefit the most from checking the boxes, that's Uber and Lyft drivers as far as people that can make the most money. And I'm talking where it might make a difference of a gig worker making $10 an hour more by checking these additional boxes. And that's one of the things that having more empirical research on this, and that's one of the things that I think is the opportunity to really be intentional about creating a framework here that amplifies that opportunity. Because so let me go on. So we're Gigs Go Green with Tri-Co-op STO. So Tri-Co-op STO is 3 synergistic organizations building a circular economy for gig workers. The first of which is Tesla Black DAO. And we're really positioning that as the most profitable community for gig workers. And this is, again, where having a black Tesla vehicle that's 7 passengers, that allows you to check the premium and the ultra premium rides, where you can earn 2x or up to 3.5x of normal fares of your basic Uber or Lyft ride. So the goal with our security token offering, each one of these 3 organizations, we're going to create a public benefit corporation in Colorado, where we're looking to raise via regulation crowdfunding up to $5 million for Tesla Black of Colorado, Solar EV of Colorado. And with that $5 million for Tesla Black, we're looking to acquire 50 Teslas, and those 50 Teslas will empower 100 gig workers to do their gig, and those Teslas will be cooperatively owned by the driver owner operators in this model. So, and then also with that funds, we're looking to become the insurance company through a mutual insurance dynamic. And those conversations, think of that as more of like phase 1, acquire the cars, phase 2, become the insurance company. So moving on, now that we've got these 50 cars and the gig workers are out doing their thing, driving passengers all over the Front Range of Colorado here, what needs to happen is that these cars need to be refueled. So that enters the next business opportunity, is to create these distributed energy resources. And we're calling that solar EV. And it's community solar and EV charging for gig workers. So there's 3 main components. There's the solar panels to generate the energy. There's the battery storage to store the solar energy. And then there's the EV charging. So those 3 items, components together, create a distributed energy resource. And the thing that's also more unique about this specific distributed energy resource is that we will be able to sell the energy through EV charging directly to the gig workers. And we should be able to do that at below market rates and still be very, very profitable, because I know from personal experience that EV charging is some of the most expensive energy that gets sold within a metro area. And there's really 2 scenarios looking through the lens of a Uber and Lyft driver. The first scenario that they need to charge is when they're out grinding, and we're talking like 8 to 12 plus hours a day. Even with 300 miles of range that a Tesla provides, it's still not going to be quite enough to, especially if you're doing 12 plus hours. So you're going to need to stop somewhere, refuel the car with energy, and grab a bite to eat. So you need a parking lot with fast charging. So that's one scenario. Now, when the gig worker is done putting in a 12 plus hour shift, grinding their day out, driving passengers all around Colorado, the last thing that they want to do is go sit in a parking lot for another half an hour or an hour to refuel their car. They want to go home, kick back a cold one, watch Netflix or whatever the latest binge watch thing is. And then when they wake up in the morning, have a full tank of charge for their day. So we need a parking lot model and a single family house model. And those same components apply whether it's a parking lot or a single family house, just different scale as far as the cost of deploying that type of infrastructure. But when you think about those two things, either a parking lot or a single family house, both of those involve real estate. So that's the third business in Tri-Co-op STO in this circular economy model, is that we're looking to create a community land trust and that's basically going to be our engine for tokenizing real estate, with the primary goal of these to benefit the gig workers. And that's another thing that I think was having a little bit of conversation with Christian about alternative ownership enterprises. And there was actually a great report that, and let me move that over here. I'll come back to the one pager here, unless you want me to go through that right now. What do you think?
I think I'm good. I'll probably, whatever Christian, he seems to be more up to speed. I'm getting it now, so it makes a lot of sense.
No, I'm good too.
All right, cool. So let me just do, I'll make a new window here so I won't have to close that out. Oh, wrong button. So one of the things that in our Notion, and this is very much work in progress. It's primarily me that's contributing most of the stuff in Notion. But one of the things that I have is an articles and resources database. And this is one of the things that I created just to keep track of worthwhile things. So one of the things, and let me actually go back to our agenda, because this is one of the fun ways that I use Notion is the relational capability. So the articles that I had related to this office hours today are regarding the alternative ownership enterprises. And this was an article, and I'm going to just go ahead and open that here, that appeared in the Stanford Social Innovation Review. And I'm going to throw that link in Zoom for everybody's benefit here. So let me make this a little bigger as well. And this really resonated with me because one of the things that's trending very highly is impact investing and, ESG narratives and stuff like that. So I'm going to just read this introduction to this article. Impact investors can support a more just economy by prioritizing alternative ownership enterprises that shift power away from shareholders to workers, the community, and the planet. And that's one of the conversations that I really enjoyed that we were having last night, Christian, is how are we going to architect the things that we're creating here to ensure that what we're creating really benefits the gig workers that we're really architecting the circular economy model surrounding. And the thing that's fabulous, though, when you think about how much impact that it has, a lot of us have taken Uber and Lyft and have been the benefactor of those rides. And the more that we can, one of the fun things, and I'm going to go off on this tangent a little bit here, one of the things that I'm really envisioning around this Gigs Go Green movement, because I don't know what it's going to look like as far as what type of traction that we're going to have when we really start throwing some marketing behind what we're creating here. And that's something that should know by the end of the month. Just to put it out there again, I personally have a goal to onboard 100 members into Tesla Black DAO at a $69 pre-launch annual membership, yearly membership in. So that's my goal right now. The immediate focus is architecting this strategy for this campaign for the Polygon Quadratic funding round that's powered by GiveETH. But anyway, getting back to this, this is the underlying thing. This was actually written by people at transformfinance.org, and they just here as of November, so 1st of December today. So this was a report right here, the report, and this is one that I haven't read through. I missed the webinar, and they actually just had this webinar earlier today. Hopefully there will be a replay. But one of the fun things that I like to do is, this was new to me. I hadn't heard this term used before, and when I was talking to Christian last night, he hadn't either. So like, one of the fun things that I like to do, just to see how much that Google has something indexed, and I think that this is actually Brave. Let me go to google.com. So I like putting things in a quote here to see. So alternative ownership enterprises, Google only shows 496 results. So this is something that's very new, that looks like to be a term that is really being driven by this transform finance. So I'm excited to read through the report, and I think that there's a strong opportunity to position what we're building as an alternative ownership enterprise. And the more that we don't create our own verbiage. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking and see what your thoughts are on that, Christian or Francine.
I like it. It sounds really, you know, I'm all about helping, blockchains originally for the people. So I'm all about giving people a leg up and, just continuing to take these steps further and further. I mean, these are all like new terms to me, alternative ownership enterprises. I'm just learning about, DAOs because I'm involved with one, like I mentioned, in the Philippines. And that's the reason I like it. It's very heart-centered to get Filipinos a living wage, and they have a VA network attached to it. They do amazing like graphics and web design, all like based on blockchain. And they're just a lot of moving gamers. They have a lot of moving parts, but they're working hard. They also do yield farming, so you can earn, return it to the savings club, teaching people about savings and earning, Bitcoin or Ethereum yield farming. So yeah, this is just a whole nother foray into something I'm completely new to learning about, but I like the way it all sounds. So thank you, Alex.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Francine said. I'm just going to reiterate that I think it's brilliant. Kudos to you. I think I tried to make that very clear when I started throwing some curveballs, which I don't do in an exercise of, trying to be difficult. But again, I want to reiterate that in my experience, when something fails or doesn't acquire enough traction or gets to a stage in which the curve flattens, it's not because of the things that were pretty clear. It was because of the blind spots that were not seen. And I try to help from the outside of the fishing bowl for minds like yours, which are clearly devoted from many perspectives to all that you're gathering into reinforcing your project to try to simplify it, kind of like, out in Hamlet, how they said that the brevity is the soul of wit, be able to say a lot in just very few words. And it almost takes me back to that example of that elevator pitch where you have the one investor that you have them there for 15 seconds as you coincide with the person in the elevator, and you got 15 seconds before they step out, and you got to take everything that's going through your mind and how you're going to do it and all this stuff, and you got 15 seconds to drive a compelling, clear picture so the person understands where you're going. Now, this is very complicated, I know. There's an exercise into doing that, right? But at this point, I would say, again, kudos to you. I think you're pretty clear on the how things need to happen. I'm nobody to validate that. I'm not nearly at your level. But from the outside of the fishing bowl, I think the what is it and why, that's what kind of needs brevity and to be concise and powerful. To me, just to kind of sum up, I wrote this down as I heard you. The purpose behind it is green. It's empowering people with a new model that can bypass the existing models. I'm here that we're creating a new platform, a new model, a new way of doing things that will increase profit for people. Doing the same amount of work they do, they could profit more. We are reusing an overage of existing electric energy that otherwise just sits there. So all that checks the boxes with me for many reasons. And then I'm hearing that there are some musts in here, which is to own a Tesla, to have that charging capability, and connected to that, there would be that land portion of it. From there, like I told you yesterday, I would run this whole thing through validation. We can validate the hypothesis, the end user has to, then really work iteratively to get that problem solution fit well before you go into the scalability. And then we talked about, we can put in that model of how you come with this disruptive, because it is a disruptive idea, and every time that there's something new, and we go through that bell curve of where people adopt that. And so we can have a talk at the visionary level, but it is a different talk with the early adopters. They have different needs, and we need to finesse that message as well constantly to them. We will hit that chasm where it's going, but then you need a push, and at that moment, it's D-Day, where, like Normandy, you gotta hit everything with you got into the one area. You can't be too broad about it. It needs to be very intentional and specific, and then hopefully we get onto the scalability portion of it. Having said that, I think that whatever you have right now needs to be looked under those lenses to kind of also help you, because I see you all over the place, because you're like this genius in this huge board writing all these formulas and stuff, and I'm sure it makes sense and it's right, and you're discovering the theory of relativity. But to a regular guy that doesn't even have a Tesla, may not even be into Web3, you have to communicate to that guy, these are the musts, this is what you're going to get, and it needs to be compelling and convincing.
Yeah, that's what I was and just to boil it down real quick to just to write on what you just said, Christian, too, is like, I've been through a lot of marketing classes and online marketing, and because I've built businesses, and you have to like do it like you're speaking to a third grader. And I don't know how many Uber drivers and Lyft drivers are, into blockchain stuff, maybe a lot more than I'm thinking, but and address their pain points. I mean, like the surveys you were talking about, get into their heads, like what are they struggling with? And first thing that comes to my mind is monetizing. They probably want to make more money, which you have an idea for them to be able to do that. And at the same time, they don't care. And I have a design in green building and sustainability from CU, a little certificate, because I'm really passionate about that stuff too. So, but that's me. Your Uber driver just is trying probably to make ends meet, and if he can be green, great. But what's in it for him? You know, I would start from, and also from like you literally you're teaching a third grader, right? Like that language, very basic, and terms that they probably know, and define it, and like a little education piece first about what certain terms are and why it's beneficial. And yeah, just like what Christian was saying, just and zero in and just start with that pain point in education and what's in it for them, and make it
Yeah,
easy for be implemented.
that's some great feedback, and it's probably worth to understand like the relevance. And let me see if I still have the timeline open in one of these windows. I'll just do another search here for it. So, because right now, and let me make this bigger, because where we're at right now, we literally on our working group the other day, we did this on just like a couple days ago. And the thing about the early adopters is this campaign are going to be geared to Web3 natives and the early adopters, because it's a gamified dynamic for tapping into Quadratic funding. And so what we're looking to do here in the near term with Gigs Go Green is it's actually going to be a sub-DAO of like when you think about a minimum barrier of entry, because like there's probably people that are interested in like both you, Francine, and Christian. I don't know if you have driven Uber or Lyft, or whether you have any aspirations to. So there's going to be a larger group of people that we're going to be attracting during this into our ecosystem. And my thoughts are right now is really creating a framework where we can at scale onboard, because I could easily anticipate seeing that we could onboard potentially up to 500 people into Gigs Go Green DAO. That's like a minimum viable DAO, and then the opportunity to have human capital while we're looking to finish our timeline here, where we're looking on 2/22, February 22nd, to have actual financial capital. We'll have human capital here to start executing some worthwhile efforts around really refining the onboarding process and creating, because like one of the things that we've already talked about, we're really planning when we're collecting somebody $69 to join Tesla Black DAO, we're going to have a requirement that they have to go through some sort of boot camp or 1 or 2 hour class or whatever, why Web3 matters. So that's really where we're looking to onboard people to amplify the benefits of what we're building in the Web3 and the stuff like that, as far as how that blockchain fits into the picture. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's great. And just so you know, I'm gonna have to hop off in a couple minutes because I have another call. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know like what is the BUIDL on Polygon application. I mean, maybe I don't need to know that, but like I just
So let me actually just go to that, because I did create a project page, and let me do a search on it here. So this is a mini project page that I made. So Biddle on Polygon is what it's being called. So let me actually just open up. Here's I'm gonna make this. So here's the actual timeline for. So the Biddle on Polygon is what Polygon is calling this campaign. And here's the timeline that we're talking about. So we submitted here. This is like a know your customer, know your business phase. And then the contest is broken into 2 phases. This is why this timeline is pretty tight, because I mean, it's the 1st of December, and right now I'm really wanting to create several different things between now and the 11th of December so that we can really create an absolute fabulous effect for this first phase, because this is like a preliminary like the first phase, and then the other one is really where the rubber meets the road, where and I don't know if either of you are familiar with quadratic funding, but basically the way that I understand it is the more unique people that contribute to it, the more it amplifies the contest. And there's 170,000 Matic, which is about, I don't know, 80 grand worth of contest money available. And one of the things, would basically be the first thing that we would be funding the DAO treasury. Like, we're really positioning Gigs Go Green as a DAO. And kind of the vision where this would be used is like to put some numbers behind things. It's probably going to cost anywhere from 20 to 30 grand at least to launch Tri-Co-op STO for Colorado. I don't know how much that's going to be, like, if when we look at doing that in another state, but the main goal right now is to have a successful security token launch. And the thing that's fabulous about the launch is that that's really the start date that provides a year to run. But anyway, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. One of the things that we do is we have Let Us Meet, and this is one of the things that I had on the agenda to create. So I was going through on the other window while I was hearing your feedback and getting this ready, so that and the goal of this is to find when is the best time to have our next working group. And one of the things that we want to get better at is, and one of the changes that we're going to make is we're going to actually reduce our working group from 2 hours to 1 hour. And we really try to be more structured as far as creating some agenda. And one of the things that I want to get better at within the office hours is allocating a slice of time for that. But I'm going to go ahead and click on create, and this will create the Let Us Meet. I'm going to throw that in there, and I'll circulate that to everybody after as well. But I'm going to go ahead and add my availability here real quick. So I'm actually going to take this down to here. So that was our steering committee, where Christian and I met over, and I guess that's going to be in, I can't remember exactly where in Denver, but looking forward to catching up with people in person on Monday to have our next conversation around community-owned real estate and what Paul is doing with community wealth building here. So there's the Let Us Meet, and I'll throw that in the Zoom link for everybody. But any final thoughts? We're at the hour here, and this is the time that I want to bring it to a wrap, and I'll stop talking.
Yeah, thanks a lot for inviting me, Yonks, and I'm just gonna, process and keep me posted on everything. And look forward to Christian too. Sounds like he brings a lot to the table and a lot of experience, and you guys could be a really good match for making it happen.
And I will hit you up both offline for your Web3 Ethereum wallet, because like I said, this is something that we're building a FEL culture, fun, earning, and learning. And we do have social tokens that we are providing for the efforts that we're building this out. And that's one of the fun ways that we experiment with Web3. So I'll hit you both up offline, but I'm going to go ahead and stop talking and see if Christian had any final thoughts as well.
All right.
Yeah, to me is to convert this into next steps. Again, from my focus would be another meeting where we would try to simplify, to put all this together in a simpler, more compelling way. We can draw a canvas on it that will force us. It will force us to go from here to here. There's no way around it. And then we can run that through a few models just to get a better perspective, 360 perspective on where we're in a good place, where we're not. and be able to come up with customer empathy map, and also try to come up with 1,000 questions if needed, and as many constraints as we could foresee as possible. The reason why I say that is because if whatever, and I still don't understand some of the details of what you're doing, if that fails, that still doesn't mean that your idea, your project is irrelevant. Angry Birds, I think, was out of Rovio, was their, I don't know, 56th intent try onto making it to the mass market. So it took them 56 times to get their product out there. And so that's the way I see it. This is one more, it's a try. We might hit the bullseye. Who knows? I've seen people hit the bullseye because they have to have things their way, to find out is the bullseye of the wrong target, you know? So I think that coming together and looking at it from different ways, we can really narrow down and to make it more wholesome, if that makes sense, towards what we're trying to achieve. The idea is fucking fantastic. I don't think that you can encounter one Lyft driver that has been driving for at least a year that says, oh, I'm happy with the cut that I get and the cut that Lyft gets. And do that with Uber as well. I'm super happy of the way that I get all this work done and my car and all my responsibilities. And at the end of the day, this is my chunk. If you are able to offer them an alternative to the current options that they have, knowing that they don't have to like quit what they're doing to go 100% on what you're offering, and that they could kind of dip their toes into that, I just don't see how people are not going to be interested in making more profit by doing the same thing they're doing. It's a matter of making it simple, compelling. Again, it's putting the windows in front of the kernel. So they don't understand kernel, but they know how to double click on something, you know?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm really going to have some fun with when the time is right here later this year, but still need to do some stuff. And right now, as I mentioned, the main focus is really creating a solid strategy around this opportunity with the Polygon Quadratic funding that is getting powered by GiveETH. And the other thing too that we're gonna the main thing as far as from a decision between now and our next conversation, which will be the working group format that I created to let us meet for, will be whether, and this is an action item for us both, is to do more research surrounding this Center for Purpose and Performance prize and better up and the opportunity that comes surrounding that. Because I think that there's a strong opportunity, and that's one of the things that I would like to be more intentional, where we can have these conversations and amplify and bring more thoughts from, because this type of thing is a very different narrative than the Community Energy Innovation Prize that we're submitting for Gigs Go Green with Tri-Co-op STO on that, but it's so much synergy because it's already something they're planning on doing. But we will. I see Double D. I'm gonna pop in here real quick before I shut this down. If he's still, let's see if he's still joining. So Double D is somebody in Lagos that has done some graphic design, like the solar EV logo. Let me see if I'm not doing the share screen, but that's who did the solar EV logo that we've been using. Since I'm talking about design, and I'm hoping that he'll be on here. Sometimes he doesn't have great internet with the less than desirable infrastructure there in Lagos that he's subject to, but if he's not on here, anyway, it's already 6 minutes past the hour. I always enjoy our conversations, Christian. Looking forward to having more, and I think that you bring an immense amount of perspective, especially in like, because you're absolutely right. I got a lot of stuff, and the biggest thing that I need help with is really getting what's going on in my head captured onto paper that is a natural progression for people to follow, and the opportunity for us to architect a well-designed user journey so that people don't get confused and abandoned, I think is the biggest challenge that we're going to have.
We can do that.
All righty. Well, you have a great weekend, Christian, and looking forward to, I guess we will see each other Monday afternoon. I think, is it Monday or Tuesday afternoon? I can't remember.
If they call me for interpretation, yes, or
I
unless
gotcha.
they invite me to be a part of that. But whichever way, if I'm not as an interpreter, I cannot self-invite myself to the event, you know. But
Understood. So we will be in touch, and I'll make sure. Did you get that Let Us Meet link in the chat here?
hold on, let me check here. Where am I?
I don't know how much it's saved. It looks like Double D did not get connected.
Yes, here it is.
So
Yeah,
I don't know if you
just opened it.
I don't know if you've used Let Us Meet before, but it's a pretty intuitive tool for getting a heat map for availability. It's similar to what Paul used. I think it was on Doodle, but I actually like this one a little better. I think it's just a cleaner UI. But we will be in touch, and looking forward to more collaboration to move this stuff forward.
All right, man. Take care. This is awesome.
Yep.